Emma Pierce believed in love, the kind of love that feels like home even on the hardest days. At 34, she had spent the last 5 years building a life with Daniel Carter, an architect she met at a mutual friend's wedding in Vancouver. He was charming without trying, confident but kind, with a smile that made her believe she was the only woman in the world. They lived in a cozy loft in downtown Seattle. Decorated with plants Emma always forgot to water and sketches Daniel left half-finished on the coffee table. Their weekends were filled with farmers markets, walks along the pier, and late-night talks about growing old together. Everyone called them the dream couple. Emma thought so too. Daniel had proposed during a snowy weekend in Aspen, on the balcony of their rented cabin, with a simple gold ring and a shaky "will you." She cried, laughed, and said yes without thinking twice. That was 2 years ago. The wedding kept getting pushed back, first because of work, then renovations, then because they wanted more time to plan. Emma wasn't in a rush. She had Daniel. That was enough. At least it used to be. Lately, something felt different. It started small. Missed calls, shorter texts, long pauses in conversations where laughter used to be. He'd come home later than usual and go straight to the shower, not bothering to ask about her day. When she made his favorite pasta, he barely touched it. He blamed deadlines, clients, stress. Emma wanted to believe him. She told herself it was just a rough patch. Every couple had them. But sometimes, in the quiet moments, like when they brushed their teeth in silence or passed each other in the kitchen without touching, Ma felt like a stranger in her own relationship. One night, while folding laundry, she found a small receipt tucked inside Daniel's jeans pocket. A dinner for two, Italian, 2 glasses of wine, dessert. It wasn't the receipt that bothered her, it was the date. It was the night he told her he had a working dinner with a client from out of town. She held the paper in her hand for a long time, staring at it like it would give her the answer she didn't want. Emma didn't ask about it. She wasn't ready for what he might say. Instead, she watched him more closely. Not in a jealous way, but in the way you watch someone you love slipping away. Then came the firm's anniversary party. It was held at a rooftop bar overlooking the city. Emma wore a navy dress and heels that pinched her toes, but she didn't care. She just wanted to be by Daniel's side, to feel close again. That's when Lily walked in. Lily Matthews was the new graphic designer at the firm. She was in her late 20s with sleek dark hair, smart eyes, and an effortless elegance that turned heads when she entered the room. She smiled like she knew a secret no one else did. Daniel introduced her casually. "This is Lily. She's been doing great work for the firm," he said. Placing his hand gently on her shoulder, Emma smiled, shook her hand, and told herself it was nothing. New coworkers always came and went. But something about the way Lily looked at Daniel made her uneasy. Like they shared an inside joke. Like there was already something between them that didn't need explaining. Later that night, Emma caught a glimpse of them talking near the bar. Lily laughed at something Daniel said and touched his arm lightly. He didn't pull away. Emma looked down at her drink and tried to steady her breath. Maybe it meant nothing. Maybe she was overthinking. Maybe her mind was playing tricks on her. Still, she went home with a headache and a heavy heart. In the days that followed, her doubts grew louder. Daniel started mentioning Lily more often. Lily had a great idea for the presentation. Lily's designing the pitch deck. Lily thinks we should change the color scheme. Always casual, always offhand. Emma tried to stay calm, but each mention felt like a quiet nudge in the wrong direction. One night, they were eating takeout on the couch when she finally asked, "Are you spending a lot of time with Lily?" Daniel didn't look up from his plate. "Yeah, she's part of the team now." "Why?" Emma shrugged. "Just wondering." He gave a short laugh. "You're not jealous, are you?" "No," she said quickly. Too quickly. The next morning, he left early for work. Emma stared at the empty side of the bed and wondered if she was starting to lose someone who hadn't even left yet. She didn't want to be the insecure girlfriend who snooped or demanded answers. She wanted to trust him like she always had. But trust, once shaken, becomes fragile. A week later, Emma decided to surprise Daniel with coffee and muffins from his favorite cafe. It was a small gesture, but she missed doing things for him. She missed them. She arrived at his office around 10 a.m., balancing 2 cups and a brown paper bag. The receptionist waved her through. Everyone knew who she was. She walked down the hall toward his office, hurt light for the first time in weeks. Then she saw them, through the glass walls of the conference room. Daniel and Lily sat closer than colleagues usually did. He was showing her something on his tablet, their shoulders nearly touching. She laughed, her head tilted slightly. Eyes locked on his dot. Daniel looked up just then and saw Emma. For a split second he froze. Then he smiled polite. Distant Tan stood up to meet her. "Hey," he said, stepping out of the room. "What are you doing here?" Emma handed him the coffee. "Just thought I'd surprise you." He looked over her shoulder, then back at her. "Thanks." "I was just in the middle of—" "I saw," she said quietly. He didn't respond. She forced a smile, handed him the bag of muffins, and turned to leave. That night, Emma didn't ask questions. She didn't cry. She lay beside him in silence, staring at the ceiling. While he scrolled through emails, something had shifted. She knew it. And deep down, so did he. She once believed their love was unbreakable, that they were on the same team, that it was them against the world. But now, something else was forming, something unspoken, and Emma could feel it in her bones. She wasn't the only one in his heart anymore. Emma didn't talk much the day after she saw Daniel with Lily. She went through the motions, answering emails, picking up groceries, making dinner, but inside, everything felt off. She kept playing that moment over in her mind. The way Daniel smiled at Lily, the way Lily leaned toward him like they shared something private. She didn't have proof of anything. There were no messages or photos, just looks, pauses, and instincts. But sometimes the heart sees what the eyes don't want to admit. Emma had always trusted Daniel. He wasn't the type to lie or play games. At least he hadn't been. But now, small things were adding up. He kept his phone closer, locked it when he didn't before. He stopped asking her to meet him after work. He stopped talking about the wedding altogether. One night, she sat across from him at dinner and asked, "Do you still want to get married?" He looked surprised. "Of course, you haven't said anything about it in months." Quino set his fork down. "We've both been busy. It's not the right time to plan." Emma nodded slowly. But deep down, new people make time for what matters to them. The next few weeks felt like she was living beside someone she used to know. They still shared a home, a bed, and a routine. But the warmth was missing. The closeness was fading. He kissed her on the forehead instead of the lips. He said "love you" like it was part of a checklist. And Lily. Lily's name kept coming up. She had a smart fix for the floor plan. She stayed late to finish the render. She's really sharp, clients love her. Emma started to notice patterns. Daniel would come home later on the nights Lily stayed late. His mood would lift after those days, as if he'd just had the best conversation of his week. He'd laugh at something on his phone, then quickly put it away when she walked into the room. One Friday night, Daniel said he had a team dinner. Emma didn't ask questions. She just nodded and watched him leave, wearing the cologne he used to wear on their date nights. He came back around midnight, quietly. No explanation. No details. That weekend, Emma did something she never thought she'd do. She went through his phone while he was in the shower. Her hands shook the entire time. His messages were clean, nothing obvious. But his call history showed multiple late-night calls with Lily, and not just work hours, 10:30, 11 p.m., sometimes for nearly an hour. She put the phone down before he came out. Her heart ached not just from what she saw, but from who she was becoming, suspicious, anxious, sad. Emma was the kind of woman who used to laugh freely, dance barefoot in the kitchen, leave love notes on Daniel's car windshield. But lately she felt like a shadow of herself, always waiting, always wondering. The turning point came on a Tuesday afternoon. She had finished a client meeting early and decided, without planning, to stop by Daniel's office again. Part of her hoped she was wrong, that everything was still okay, that the looks, the doubts, the late nights were all in her head. She walked into the building with a cup of coffee and a quiet prayer. When she reached his floor, she saw them, Daniel and Lily, sitting close in the lounge area just outside the main workspace. His hand was resting on the back of her chair. They were laughing, completely lost in conversation. There was a softness in Daniel's eyes that Emma hadn't seen in months. She didn't walk in this time. She stood there for a moment, then quietly turned around and left. The coffee was still warm in her hand. She didn't cry until she got back into her car. Then the tears came quickly, sharp, silent, and full of realization. It wasn't just in her head. Something was happening. Whether it had turned into something physical or not didn't even matter anymore. Emotionally, he had already started slipping away. That night, Daniel came home acting normal, like everything was fine. Emma watched him from across the room and wondered if he even noticed how far they drifted. She felt like she was in a two-person play, where only one of them was still reading the P script. She decided not to confront him. Not yet. She wanted time to think. She needed to figure out what she really wanted, not just what she was afraid to lose. Emma started staying late at her own studio. She met with clients on weekends. She filled her days with work to quiet the ache inside her. But the silence at home only got louder. Then came the night. He didn't come home. He texted her at 6 p.m. Late meeting. Don't wait up. No details. No apology. She sat on the couch with her dinner untouched, scrolling through old photos of them road trips, birthdays, Christmas mornings. She stared at one photo in particular, Daniel holding her hand. Both of them smiling under a tree covered in lights. He had looked at her like he couldn't believe she was his now. He barely looked at her at all. He came home after midnight again. This time, he smelled like perfume that wasn't hers. His tie was loosened, his voice quiet. She didn't ask. She just watched him walk into the bathroom and close the door. She didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Emma packed an overnight bag and went to her sister Rachel's apartment in Queen Anne. Rachel opened the door, saw her face, and didn't ask any questions. She just pulled her in and held her. They talked for hours over tea. Emma told her everything, the doubts, the distance, the way she felt like a ghost in her own home. Rachel didn't judge. She just listened. You don't have to decide anything today, Rachel said. But don't stay in something that keeps breaking you. That night, Emma felt lighter. Not because anything was fixed, but because for the first time in weeks, she wasn't pretending everything was okay. The following day, Daniel called, twice, left a message. Where are you? Call me. She didn't answer. When she returned home a day later, he was waiting. He looked relieved when he saw her. Emma, I've been worried. Why didn't you answer my calls? She set her bag down slowly. I needed space. He walked closer. Is something going on? Are we okay? She looked at him, really looked at him. I don't know. You tell me. Daniel paused. His eyes dropped. He didn't speak right away, and that silence told her more than words ever could. Daniel stood in front of her, silent. Emma waited, but he said nothing. The pause between them was heavy. Not angry, just tired. Like too many things had already been said in their silences. Was there something between you and Lily? She finally asked. He looked away. I didn't plan it. It just happened. Her heart dropped. Even though she already knew, hearing it from his mouth still hurt. Daniel took a slow breath. We were working late a lot, talking. She understood things I couldn't always explain. It felt easy. I didn't mean to hurt you, Emma nodded. It was strange she didn't cry. There were no loud arguments, just the dull ache of confirmation. The truth had arrived, and it didn't come with fireworks. Just clarity. I was yours, she said quietly. I thought I was the only one. You were, he replied too quickly. You are? No, she said, meeting his eyes. If I was, she wouldn't have had space. He stepped closer. It didn't mean anything, but it had. It meant something to her, something to them. And even if it hadn't turned into a full affair, the emotional lines had already been crossed. And Emma felt it every time he looked at someone else with eyes that used to be hers. He reached for her hand. This time, she didn't pull away. But she didn't hold on either. She needed space to think. Not because she didn't love him, but because she finally remembered she loved herself too. Over the next few days, Emma moved into her sister's apartment. She didn't rush to decide what to do. She went to work, kept busy, and sat with her feelings instead of avoiding them. Rachel reminded her that it was okay to feel everything at once. Love, betrayal, sadness, confusion. Daniel called often, sent messages, left long voicemails. He admitted to crossing lines with Lily emotionally, but insisted it had never gone further. He said he wanted to fix things, that Emma was the one he wanted to marry, that it was just a mistake, not a replacement. But the thing about trust is once it's broken. Even the truth feels hard to believe. Emma spent time walking alone in the evenings. She'd pass couples on the sidewalk and wonder how many of them were happy, and how many were just pretending like she had been. A week later, Daniel asked to meet in person. They sat on a park bench overlooking the water, the wind cool against their skin. "I've ended things with Lily," he said. "There was nothing official, but I cut off all contact. I told her I couldn't do this, that I wanted to be with you." Emma didn't react. She stared at the horizon, calm but distant. "I want to fight for us," he continued. "I know I messed up. I got distracted. I took you for granted. I stopped seeing how much you gave me every single day." She finally looked at him. "Why did you fall for her?" Daniel hesitated. "She didn't know me yet. She didn't expect anything from me. It felt simple." Emma nodded. That was the truth, and it hurt. Not because Lily was better, but because she was new, a clean slate. No responsibilities, no history, no reality. "She got your attention," Emma said, her voice steady. "But I gave you everything else." He looked down. "I loved you fully, Daniel," she said. "I was loyal to you even in the small things. I protected your name when you weren't around. I believed in your dreams. I waited through your late nights, your moods, your stress, hoping we'd find each other again." "I know," he whispered. Emma stood up slowly. "But love shouldn't leave you begging to be seen." He reached for her arm. "So that's it? I don't hate you," she said. "I just don't recognize us anymore. And I'm tired of trying to hold together something that you let slip away." He looked at her like he was about to cry, but the tears didn't come. That night, Emma returned to Rachel's apartment and began making new plans, not out of anger, but peace. She started looking for a place of her own. A small one-bedroom with big windows and quiet corners. Daniel tried to stay involved, offering to help, asking for second chances, but Emma knew she needed space to breathe on her own. She wasn't saying never, but she was saying not now. As weeks passed, the distance grew. Daniel kept reaching out at first, but then less and less. And Lily, she didn't stay long after Emma left. Whether she had feelings or just enjoyed the attention, it didn't matter. That connection faded quickly once the lines became real. Emma, on the other hand, started remembering who she was before the heartbreak. She picked up painting again, started reading late into the night, took weekend trips on her own with no schedule, no expectations. She laughed more, not because everything was perfect, but because healing had begun. Months later, Emma opened a small design studio with a friend. It was something she'd always dreamed of but kept putting off. Now, she was doing it for herself, not to prove anything, just to live fully again. Then one afternoon, in a cozy cafe in Portland, she met someone new. His name was James, a quiet soul with kind eyes and a calming presence. He wasn't flashy or overly charming, just steady, present, real. They talked about books, music, and their favorite coffee flavors. Nothing big, just honest moments. And for the first time in a long time, Emma didn't feel like she had to prove her worth. She felt seen. They didn't rush anything. Emma was careful. She had learned how important it was to protect her peace. But slowly, day by day, she opened her heart again, not because she needed someone, but because she was ready. And Daniel, he wrote her one last letter, handwritten, no begging. No blame, just closure. I'll always be sorry, he wrote, and I'll always remember the way you loved me. Emma smiled gently when she read it. Then she folded it, tucked it away, and moved forward. Because in the end, this wasn't just a story about betrayal. It was a story about becoming, about letting go of what no longer fits, about choosing yourself even when it hurts, and about learning that the right love won't make you guess your place in someone's heart. Love, when it's real, won't feel like a fight you have to keep losing to win. It will feel like coming home.